You are not the man you used to be. You are stronger and wiser and freer than you ever used to be. And now you have come at the crossroads of destiny. It's time for you to choose. It's time for you to choose good. Iro. Bending, not breaking. A mini episode.
It's so small!
Welcome back to Bending, Not Breaking. This is Ben Pruitt with your mini episode for the week. Hopefully, soon we will be coming back to you with full episodes. But in the meantime, have you considered sending in a voicemail? No, but really. Please do. Tell us about something you noticed in an episode we might have missed, or about something that you learned from one of the characters. We genuinely want to hear from you. Your voicemails, they just make our show better. We genuinely believe hearing from you makes all of us better because we get to learn from one another. So if you want to be more of a silent contributor, we also hope that you might support us on Patreon. That can continue to make all of this possible. We're going to continue doing it no matter what, but that really helps us do a little better. Just $1 a month can make all the difference. Okay, now to the content. Today, I'm going to talk about beginnings. There's a pretty common phenomenon in our culture to set goals and resolutions at the beginning of the new year. And guess what? That will be tomorrow for everybody who's listening day of. And I definitely have fallen prey to this as well, wanting to set goals around my body image rather than, just because of the pressure. Because of the pressure that society puts on us to be perfect in every way. And there are other goals that I've set as well. This past year, I joined a Reddit challenge to bake something new each week. Over the past several years, I've set reading goals to read a certain number of books each year. Most of the time I do okay on, sometimes I don't do okay on. One year I set a goal to do an additional push-up each day, starting with 1, and I lasted about 63, and then I got bored. Which kind of brings me to my point. I think our goals and our resolutions, and frankly, anytime we start something new, that it should be aligned with our values. It should be aligned with our joys, not driven by our shame or because of the pressure that others put on us. I once read a phenomenal book that I recommend to pretty much anybody who will listen. It's called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And there's a story within the book about the secret of happiness that I'd love to share with you. I'll paraphrase. A young boy goes to a wise man and wants to learn the secret of happiness. And he heard that this guy had the secret of happiness. So he goes to his castle, his manor, and he walks up to the man after a long wait. And he asks, I heard you know the secret of happiness, and I'd love to know that. I'd love to take that back home to my family. And the man says, okay, well, why don't you carry this spoon, and he puts some oil in it, and walk around my castle and observe the wonders of my domain. And so this boy is really nervous, doesn't want to mess up. So he's paying attention to the oil in this spoon, and he's walking around, but really is just so focused. Comes back after a couple hours, asks the man, I have your oil and I have the spoon. Can you please tell me what the secret of happiness is? And the man says, yes, but did you see the wonders of my home? Did you see the gardens? Did you see the view from the highest window? Try again. So the boy takes the oil and the spoon and takes a look around this time, stops to smell the roses, if you will. And this time he's just awed by the beautiful tapestries on the walls. He's awed by the view. He's awed by the gardens. And he is just in love with this view. He comes back to the wise man after a few hours and just rants and raves about the beauty that he's seen in this man's home. And the man says, but what about the oil and the spoon? And the young boy realizes that he's lost the oil. He's dropped the spoon. And so the wise man says, the secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never forget the drops of oil in the spoon. When I think about this story, I think about Aang. Aang's goals to sightsee on his way to the North Pole seem so childish, frankly, to someone with the weight and burden of trying to save the world on their shoulders. I know that when I'm in the midst of trying to save the world in my own way, I am just so angry at the people who are so willing to go hang out at a bar and just grab a beer and just be themselves, or just go and take a walk in the park and just enjoy life. I'm so resentful of that. But Aang is taking the time on with this giant burden to do both. He's able to see the wonders of the world and balance the oil in the spoon. And so I see how important each of those stops are. He's taking time to do his job, but also enjoy his life. And I hope that as you consider this new beginning, this new year, 2020, I want you to consider, how can you take balance into account? How can you make sure that you're setting goals that are aligned with your joys? How can you make sure that you're taking time to stop and smell the roses, but also balance the oil in the spoon? Thank you for your time today. I'd love to hear from you about any Avatar-inspired resolutions or goals. Tell us about it by sending a voice memo to thearchofv@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us at BNB_pod on Instagram and Twitter. But mostly, thank you for listening. Bye!